Hello, and we're going to go over Project 4, Step 3, which is the proposal section of the project in which you use your introduction to your literature review, the literature review with its research focus and problems, to try to attempt to propose some type of fix or some type of change or some type of an alternative to the research topics, focus, and questions and problems that you have investigated thus far. Proposals and the way that they are laid out is going to be determined by your discourse community. That means whether or not you're in a community that uses qualitative, quantitative, or mixed methods research. It will also be determined by your research focus and your research questions. What is the focus of your research? What questions do you have? And therefore, what makes sense for proposing some type of answer to that focus and question. And also determined by your decision on how to answer that problem. Is your answer and your proposal to answering that question going to be very systematic and experimental in design? Is it going to be more theoretical in nature? Is it going to be more informative in nature? You need to decide upon that. And the length and that will be determined. The length of your proposal will be determined by which type of proposal you decide to utilize. Therefore, considering what type of proposal you will decide upon, you will want to review Creswell and his discussion of the methods for research in that field. That will be very highly influential in what you decide to use as your proposal. Remember, proposals are going to be different than methods because we're not actually going and conducting actual research in labs or in classrooms or doing case studies or going into the field to do research. But you'll still have to consider a type of kind of method of proposal for trying to consider how you might answer the research question that you've posed to us in the introduction and literature review. You also want to review students' examples of Project 4. And so one example that I can show you would be, it's posted in Blackboard. You'll see that in this paper, they have their introduction, then they start with their literature review. And the theoretical framework that they have for that, and this is because this is a qualitative research design, and so theory is very important for this type of literature review and for the methods of proposal they suggest. And then once we get past this, we go into the methods section, and they give us objectives of their methods for their proposal. They are going to tell us that based on what they have suggested is necessary for teaching students autonomy and writing development, their proposal, it has these objectives. This is what will happen if this type of proposal for a method is followed. And then, even more importantly, they give us an overview of the methods of the proposal. And therefore, what they do is they rely on research that they've conducted in their literature review in order to provide a justification for this type of methods, as well as give us a general overview of what this methods entails. Who are the participants? What are some of the procedures? How long will this take, etc. And then they go through the process, meaning step by step, this is what this method and how this method will be implemented. So you can see as they've gone through and they've done this for us. And then they have their discussion section where they say, based on my introduction, my literature review, and my methods for my proposal, this is what I believe is the outcome for this. Again, this is hypothetical because this hasn't been actually conducted as research in a classroom. However, this is a very knowledgeable and academic hypothesis based on all the research that this individual has conducted. Another example that I'd like to show you is one that's from the medical field. This individual did a literature review on Alzheimer's and decided to discuss the 6 pillars of life, and this is a discussion of how one's diet, how one's lifestyle, and how one's kind of interaction with others does or does not affect Alzheimer's. And so this person went and looked at multiple different brochures that might be found in a medical office to see kind of the layout of brochures, and then created one where they took information from their literature review, placed it in layman's terms, and placed it into a brochure with images that made sense for those who might be reading it, and it gives the individual these main components, which most brochures do. What is the issue or the problem this brochure is going to address? Why is this problem so important for one to understand or read or consider? How is this problem answered by a certain type of treatment or a certain type of pill or whatever it may be? And what will happen if you engage in this treatment for this type of illness or problem? All right. You'll see then that there are 2 examples under the Blackboard folder of students' papers. Again, with this you should include your introduction, your literature review, and your proposal section with a discussion section. That means once you've proposed something and shown us how this proposed methods would be enacted, what would be the hypothetical outcome of enacting this type of methods for answering this particular question that you've posed in your literature review. And also, when considering what type of methods you might want to propose for your proposal section, I suggest looking at the methods and results that you found to be useful or interesting when you were conducting research in your literature review. For examples, other examples that I've seen students do is they've used an experimental design that they found to be very important for the field and for their research question, and they've replicated it by adding or expanding the existing demographics or population or certain components to that methods, but in most cases still in many ways replicating that study. And they say this method section is drawn from this particular method section found in this particular article by these researchers. These particular components have been altered, but the rest are directly copied from this experimental design, which is actually considered very valid research if one is doing quantitative research. In qualitative research, often we're using theory to propose some type of fix or some change that can be through doing an analysis of certain texts in a different way, looking at data or documents in a different way, examining, observing, interviewing certain types of individuals with this, based on a certain type of research question. If you're in the educational field, how is this information going to be taught to the students? And then, of course, in mixed methods, it's going to be more social science-based, where you're going to do some type of quantitative research in order to have some type of statistical proof for this occurrence, or the types of responses from participants, but it is participant-based as well. So you're going to have to decide which type of methods you're going to use and propose. You're going to have to give me that methods laid out very clearly and concisely, and you're going to have to finally end with a discussion of what would be the outcome if this method was enacted. Any questions, concerns, once again, email me. Thank you.